Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to my YouTube channel that takes on all things narcissism, narcissistic, and narcissistic relationships. Today we're going to take on an interesting, sort of intriguing topic about what can we learn from magicians about our narcissistic relationships. Before we get there, please, as always, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, hit that button that says subscribe, and you will get access to this ever-growing library of videos about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. And if you hit the bell, you'll also get notifications every time we post a new video. So let's talk about magicians. What could they teach us about narcissistic relationships? This is actually an episode that recently got reinvigorated for me because I was talking with someone and I was reminded of someone who I knew, it was a magician, da-da-da-da. But it came up when someone was telling me about something that was happening in their narcissistic relationship. One pattern we observe in narcissistic relationships is the unwillingness to see the red flags when they're right in front of your face. Many of you will often kick yourselves like, 10 years this was going on, 10 years this was clear to me, now it's clear as day, and yet I put up with it and put up with it. Why was I so dumb? You weren't dumb. In many ways, you were just a kid at a magic show. So what is this thing? Why do I keep bringing up these magic shows? Because there's nothing magical about these relationships. But it really gets back to why you ignore those red flags. And also it gets to, why do you keep making up narratives about that relationship? If I had a dime for every person who was in the most abusive, invalidating, neglectful, awful, narcissistic relationship, who then went on to say, oh my gosh, I just wanted the dream. I wanted it to be true. I wanted the perfect family, the perfect picture. I wanted to be from a happy family. They wanted that story. They wanted it so bad that they were willing to sacrifice themselves for it. So let's now bring in those magicians. I don't know about you, but I've always kind of been naturally drawn to like people doing magic tricks. When I was a kid, I would try to do them and I'd always fail sort of miserably. And even when I got kids, I'd even get them as little magic kits and they kind of get bored with them. But I always had sort of this natural affinity. I always found them both interesting and sort of unsettling. The last time I've been at a magic show was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. A friend who is a magician took us someplace for something for my birthday. And while I was there, I found myself sort of taking two stances because we had to sit through a lot of magic tricks. There were times I would sit there and I'd be like scrutinizing the whole thing, like, where's the trick? Where's the trick? Where's the trick? But after a while that got exhausting and it was a lot easier to just sit back. And when they pulled that ace of spades out of nowhere, when they bent the spoon or pulled the sort of thing out of seemingly thin air, I just gave myself over and I believed in it. And I thought, maybe there's magic. Maybe they were magically able to use their mind and evoke the ace of spades. Maybe they were able to magically make a flower appear out of nowhere or bend a spoon with their mind. It was almost a relief to just give over to their magic trick and sit back and believe in the magic. Because did I really want to know how they did the trick? If you've ever been with somebody who knows how to do sleight of hand magic tricks, some of them will be willing to show you what it is. And the minute you see it, you're like, oh. It kind of takes all the joy, the fun, and most importantly, the magic out of it. Now let's apply this paradigm to understanding your narcissistic relationship. Once you're made to understand the narcissistic relationship, you watch these videos, you watch other people's videos, you read books, you read my books, you read other people's books, you read blogs. You read all that, you get all the information, and you're like, oh, I get what that is. Gaslighting there, future faking there, manipulation there. Got it, figured it out, understand it all. And the minute that happens, and you really give yourself over to it, and you engage in the radical acceptance that this is it. Now you know how they pulled the ace of spades out, and it's not nearly as interesting how they counted the cards or how they placed it in or how they pulled the top stack of cards off the deck or how they put something up their sleeve. Now you know. It's not magic anymore. You actually know what's happening in the relationship, and now you're going to have to say, I can't unsee this. What I mean by that is think about that magic trick. They magically pull that ace of spades out. That was the card you picked. Remember, they said, pick one of these cards, and you pick the ace of spades, you stick it in, they guess your card. Now that they explain how they guessed your card, it's not nearly as fun, right? And the next time you see the trick, not so magical. If anything, it's actually kind of boring. And it's not very fun. And if they try to take money of it from you or something else, it feels kind of gross. So do you see now how that connects to your narcissistic relationship? Once you understand it, the magic goes out of it. It's not as much fun. And in fact, you see it clearly. You'd think like, oh, I should get out. But a lot of people out there want the magic to stay magical. They want to think that the magician could read their mind and say that they pulled the ace of spades. They want it to be true that the flower came out of thin air or the magician did bend the spoon. They want it to be true. And what's the best way to keep the magic trick magical? Never find out how it's done. And in that way, you kind of turn a blind eye and you give into it like a child would. It's easier. Like I said, that day there were so many magic tricks. The minute I kind of gave up and stopped scrutinizing it, I'm like, this is kind of fun. But the fact is, I was being tricked all night. Now that was in the name of entertainment. When it's your life, it's a different story. So many people don't want to see the truth of their narcissistic relationship, that they keep making up the story. They keep holding on to the story. Your friends might say, hey, I saw him, he's with someone else, he's cheating on you. No, they're just friends. Hey, you know, he keeps gaslighting you, he keeps denying your reality. No, that's a misunderstanding. You know, he keeps raging at you all the time. That's abuse. No, had a bad day. Each of those times, you keep the magic trick going. You never figure out what the magic is. You just give into it and say, yep, no, it's magic. It's magic. It's magic. And when you make those excuses, just like we can by not looking at what the magician's really doing, we can be entertained by it. But the fact of the matter is, though, your life is not a magic show. This isn't about sleight of hand. This is about real hurt. This is about real pain. And when you allow yourself to stay blind, to keep the magic show going, to keep the false narrative alive, you not only hurt yourself, you often hurt other people. More than a few times, I've known people to say, I'm staying in this for the kids, I'm staying in this for the kids, I'm staying in this for the kids. And the kids years later will say, how dare you? All we wanted was for you to get out of that toxic space with him. We would have actually preferred dealing with that mess and having some peace than watching you be enabling him, codependent, and that mess. So you make that excuse, but maybe it's not really for your child. It's really for you. A chance for you to keep that false narrative and that story. I understand that story is powerful. It's often a childhood dream, especially, for example, if you came from a family that was unhappy, or you came from a family that was torn apart by divorce. You say, come hell or high water, I am not letting this happen to my family. Then you make the same mistake. You marry a narcissist. It tends to be intergenerational. And you say, no matter what, the word divorce is never entering my family. And you keep engaging in the magic show. No, yeah, it's magic. Pull the ace of spades. No, yeah, we're a happy family. Look. We took a great family vacation. Don't we look nice? But the fact is, you can't hide from that. You know the trick. You already know and suspect and have had confirmed over and over again the things that they've done. You know it's gaslighting. You know it's emotional abuse. You know it's a lie. You know that after that fabulous vacation, literally on the way home from the airport, they were already texting whoever it is that they've been lying with you or cheating on you with at home. You know that. But you want to keep the magic trick going. That form of sort of denial and sometimes self-delusion is a reason that many narcissistic relationships last as long as they do. Like I said, I understand why. And many times it's because people are missing the key piece of the puzzle. These relationships, these patterns, these people don't change. And once you recognize that and finally radically accept it, you do make different kinds of decisions. Some of you may not leave. Some of you may stay. And that's okay. But now you're not staying from, we're such a happy family. Instead, you're staying from, this is really awful. However, I understand the deal with the devil I've made because X, Y, and Z. Your reasons are your own. You don't need to validate them to anyone. But the fact of the matter is if you stay, please stay not believing the magic trick, not believing the false narrative, but please stay knowing that they knew where your ace of spades was because of the card you put it next to. Please know that. Because when you know that, you can stay in a way that protects yourself. You can stay in a way saying, yeah, my eyes are wide open. I understand why I've made this proverbial deal with the devil. I understand why I'm doing this and can protect myself. I won't fall for the gaslighting in the same way. I know I'm being gaslighted. When I'm being invalidated, I'll hold on to my own truth and know that I am a good person. When the goalposts are moving, I'll remember where they were originally. And most importantly, I will not derive my sense of self, self-esteem, or self-worth from this relationship. So the magic show is never nearly as much fun when you know how the tricks are done. They're really not. You can't even see the trick twice. And in some ways, once you pull back that facade, give up the narrative, understand how the trick was being done, your relationship isn't going to be as fun either. You'll remember that when you still believe that false narrative, you kept playing into that false narrative. I'm going to win him over. Look how much weight I lost. I look great. They're going to believe me. My parents really do finally get me. Now they're finally proud of me. When that's no longer there, and you're not fighting for that anymore, you're starting to realize, like, what am I doing here? And in fact, it is that moment. Once you figure out the magician's trick, that you're like, I'm going home. This show is no longer any fun. And in some ways, once you fully understand the narcissistic relationship, that it's not going to change, that the invalidation's a permanent fixture, and most importantly, this is not your fault, and there's nothing you can do to change it, that's often the day that the sort of shroud falls off the relationship. You see it for what it is. You may stick it out for a while longer. It may even feel a little less abusive, but one day, when you really see it for what it is, you decide, this doesn't even feel real anymore, and you decide to cut your losses and get out. I have to say, when I made that analogy for someone recently, I was like, yeah, no, I got to turn this into a video, because any of you who've ever seen a magic trick and someone explains it to you, you see what happens. It's just, it no longer has that sort of buzzy excitement. When you see a magic trick done and you don't know how they do it, sometimes you even get a tingle, like you're like, whoa, it's chilling, magical. Just like in your narcissistic relationship, that day you'd finally win over your partner because they happen to be having a good day, it feels magical. But when you learn the trick and you take the false narrative out, both of these spaces cease to be magical and either boring or a space that you decide is really no longer worth it. I hope that gives you an analogy to sort of work from, and then for you to say that, okay, I got my false narrative and it's keeping me in this game, but it's also something that when I'm ready, I can let go of and then start making the scary but also courageous leap forward into a more authentic future. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope again, if you enjoyed this content, please do subscribe to this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notifications, and we look forward to seeing you soon.